Anna sat in her old rocking chair, staring out the night window. The wind was tearing the last leaves from the trees. Autumn was confidently taking over. The rain, which had been drizzling since the afternoon, had now turned into a soft, melancholic whisper against the glass. The room was dimly lit by the flickering glow of a candle on the nearby table, casting long, restless shadows on the walls. Her hands, thin and wrinkled from time, clutched a small, worn-out photograph. Nicholas, her Nicholas, gone forever. That evening, she was supposed to visit him one last time. Nicholas, her husband, who had left this world a week ago. Tomorrow was the 40th day, and according to the old custom, she had to say her final goodbye. She had already prepared everything for the small memorial gathering. A table with simple food, a photograph framed with fresh flowers, and a candle that would burn through the night. But something within her resisted. A strange, creeping hesitation. The memories of their life together flooded her mind. The early years, full of laughter, whispered promises, and gentle touches. The middle years, filled with routine, quiet companionship, and occasional quarrels over trivial things. And the later years, when the silence between them had grown heavier, when Nicholas had started going away more often, citing health retreats and visits to old friends. Anna never questioned it. A wife must trust her husband. That's what she had always told herself. But tonight, as she sat alone in the creaking chair, a strange feeling settled over her. A weight, cold and pressing, as if unseen eyes were watching her from the darkness of the room. The candle flickered violently for a moment, and Anna shivered. Perhaps it was just the autumn chill, or maybe it was something else, something unspoken, unresolved, waiting to be acknowledged. But her heart pounded anxiously, as if sensing trouble. When the clock struck midnight, a cautious knock sounded at the door. Anna shuddered, but wasn't frightened. More surprised. Who could be visiting at such an hour? She hesitated for a moment, her frail fingers gripping the armrests of her chair. The sound came again, firmer this time, echoing through the silence of her empty house. A visitor? At this late hour? Her mind raced. Perhaps it was a neighbor in need of help, or one of her late husband's distant acquaintances coming to pay their respects. Slowly, cautiously, she rose from the chair, feeling the stiffness in her knees. Her breath was shallow as she reached the door, her fingers trembling over the handle before she finally turned it. The door creaked open, revealing a woman in a long black dress standing on the doorstep. She was pale as the moon, her dark eyes gleaming in the candlelight. There was something unnatural about her presence, something that made the hairs on the back of Anna's neck stand on end. The woman's lips were curved in the faintest of smiles, but it was a smile without warmth. "Are you Anna?" The stranger's voice was low, almost hypnotic, carrying a strange weight that pressed into the old woman's chest. Anna hesitated, then nodded, feeling a cold shiver run down her spine. The woman tilted her head slightly, studying her as if searching for something hidden beneath her tired eyes. "Then you need to know something about your husband," the woman whispered, her smile widening just enough to show a glimpse of teeth. "He didn't belong only to you. The words struck Anna like a slap. A rush of confusion, of disbelief, ran through her. "What nonsense is this?" she wanted to say, but the words caught in her throat. She gripped the doorframe to steady herself. I don't understand," she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman took a step closer, her presence somehow filling the doorway. The candle behind Anna flickered violently, throwing long, grotesque shadows onto the walls. The woman's eyes, deep and unfathomable, locked onto hers. "May I come in?" she asked, though it wasn't really a question. Something inside Anna screamed that she should shut the door, turn the lock, and never look back. But there was another part of her, one filled with aching curiosity, a need for answers. Against her better judgment, she stepped aside, wordlessly allowing the woman to enter. As the stranger crossed the threshold, the air in the house seemed to change, growing heavier, colder. The candle on the table dimmed, and Anna's breath came out in a visible puff. The woman walked with slow, deliberate movements, her eyes wandering across the room, as if she had been there before, as if she already knew every inch of it. Anna closed the door behind her guest, feeling a strange finality in the act. She led the woman to the table, her mind spinning with questions. Who was she? How did she know Nicholas? And what did she mean by those words? "He didn't belong only to you?" She took a seat opposite the woman, her hands folding tightly in her lap. The candlelight flickered between them, their shadows dancing on the walls like restless spirits. "Who are you?" Anna finally asked, her voice steady despite the unease crawling through her. The woman smiled again, but this time there was something almost sorrowful in it. She reached into the folds of her dress and pulled out an old yellowed letter, placing it gently on the table between them. "Read this," she said softly, "and then you will understand." Anna's hands hovered over the letter. The paper looked fragile, as if it would crumble at the slightest touch. Her breath hitched as she picked it up, her fingers tracing the faded ink. Slowly, hesitantly, she began to read. Anna let the stranger inside, and as she sat at the table, she told a story that made the old woman's blood freeze in her veins. Nicholas had led a double life for many years. When he supposedly went to the sanatorium, he was actually spending time with another woman, Mary. They loved each other passionately and secretly, even planning to run away together, but an unexpected illness ruined their plans. He died with Anna, but in his last moments, he still called for Mary. Anna felt her fingers tighten around the edges of the tablecloth. Anger, pain, betrayal, all mixed into one unbearable feeling. But that wasn't the scariest part. The woman looked at Anna with a heavy gaze. "He hasn't left," she whispered. "He's here, waiting. Not for you. No, for me." At that moment, the lamp on the table flickered, the light trembled, and something stirred in the corner of the room. Anna felt an icy chill enveloping her shoulders. In the darkness, a shadow appeared, tall, familiar. Nicholas. His face was gaunt, distorted, like someone who had wandered in the cold for too long. His lips silently repeated the same name. "Mary! Mary!" Anna's breath caught in her throat as Nicholas's apparition drifted closer. The woman in black did not move. She simply watched, her dark eyes reflecting his hollow stare. Anna wanted to turn away, to shut her eyes and make it all disappear, but she was frozen in place, trapped between terror and grief. "Nicholas," she finally managed, her voice trembling. "Why are you here?" The figure did not acknowledge her. Instead, he reached toward the woman in black. His fingers, pale and spectral, passed through the air like mist before gently touching her shoulder. A sad smile played on her lips. "He promised me," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "And now, he has come." Anna watched in horror as Nicholas's form grew more defined, his features sharpening, regaining a semblance of life. But it was not for her. He was here for Mary, for the woman who had waited for him in the shadows. The room grew colder. The candle's flame flickered violently, and then, with a final breath of wind, it was extinguished. Darkness swallowed the room. When Anna's eyes adjusted, they were gone. The rocking chair was empty. The night was silent once more. Only the faint scent of Nicholas's cologne lingered in the air. Tears welled in Anna's eyes. It was over. He had made his choice. One final betrayal, even beyond death, and she was left alone forever.